You are listening to A Quiet Mind. Welcome to part 4 of Self-Honesty. In our last podcast, we were looking at identifying the small self, the ego self, the mind. We had a little bit of an assignment there where we were to start to pay attention to what our identifiers were. This time, what we're going to do is we're going to look at how we can accept these identifiers. And we've worked quite a lot with acceptance in previous podcasts, but to be quite honest with you, it's all about acceptance. The more that we can accept about everything that is going on in our life, the more peace that we can have in it. And I'm not saying that we can't make changes, but firstly, the biggest step is to accept. What we're working on self-honesty, we can become aware, firstly. If we don't know that we are doing something, if we're not aware of it, then how can we ever make a change? So that's what we're doing in the self-honesty series. Is we're being honest with who we are. We're being honest with how we look at other people, how we judge and condemn, how we look at ourselves, and how we judge and condemn ourselves. But we're working very carefully to understand the small self. And now, as we have taken a look at it, we don't want to stop with this because this is an exercise that we're going to probably work with for the rest of our lives here on this planet. That we're always going to have to be aware of the small self and how, I don't know how many of you out there saw how much of the small self is running our lives, how it is in charge. Now, this is a very deep subject, and it's also something that can be very difficult for us to see, and that's why the 5-part series. But I'm going to put out there something a little bit unusual right now, and I don't want us to change anything at all about that we have observed. So we've seen a lot about the small self in our exercise, and I want us to continue with that daily. Once again, looking at the self and in how we identify with things that are outside of us, our identification with that. We talked about how we're identifying with brands, we're identifying with objects, but also I want us to check in to see how we identify with thought patterns that we have that are conditioned and that have been around since we were very young. If you spend any time with a child, you'll see that at a very early age, they have developed quite a personality, and they have developed their opinions and their judgments, and they can be quite staunch about opinions. They can be very pig-headed, and I know that any of you out there that have children could know this. So what we're looking at here is something that we have started very young in our lives, to have these structured opinions and ideas, and also the way we identify with the objects that are in our life outside of us and how they show who we are. So we need to work and chip away at this very slowly and with a lot of patience. So now that you have seen all of this that you have seen about yourself, how many of you out there are not feeling very good about it? I'm sure that there are a lot of you that may be upset or angry or hurt. And at this point, I want to kind of give a little warning beacon to us that it's very important right now that we accept all of these things that we have seen about ourselves, because some of them are stirring us up. They may be making us feel upset, angry, hurt, enraged, jealous, whatever emotion you want to choose. So as we are working with looking at the small self and observing how we are interacting and identifying with the thoughts that we have in our head and the actions that we do throughout the day, be very mindful in saying to yourself, I accept myself the way I am right now. I accept myself with these things that I am observing. I accept that I just can't live without my iced tea, my particular type of iced tea. I must have these pants all the time. I am a believer in X, whatever this thing is. Fill in the blank. And this is who I am, and this is what I believe in. And I'm talking about things that we're very passionate about. That's who I am. When you find yourself exploring this small self that we're talking about, and you say, but that's who I am. That's part of who I am. That's what I'm talking about. When we start to say it with passion, that's an identifier. That's what we use to say, this is me. Now, you may have an actual problem with that, or you may not. What I'm speaking of is this. Those things that you have uncovered that you may not be feeling very well right now, that you have seen, you have brought out, you've observed this, you have become aware. Be very careful at this point to accept this. And I want you to go deeply into this right now. So if you have your lists out there of the observations that you made when you were being honest, when you were taking a look at how your identifiers from your small self, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, I want you to take out that list if you have it. If not, try to bring one up right now. Bring up one of the things that you observed in this exercise and bring it up right now. Now, just accept this. Say it out loud. Say it to yourself. I accept that this is the way it is. And we've worked before with what is so. I accept this about myself. So, bear with me, because this is quite a subject for us to tackle. And I'm going to give you more information and more tools throughout the week that will help you to not only observe this, not only see it, but to start to see it after we have worked this way, where we're beginning to identify that self, identify our identifiers, how we are connecting with something and then saying, this is me, this is me, this is what I think, this is what I do, I feel passionate about this. Take a look at that, and then we're going to learn how to, after our acceptance, we're going to learn how to see from outside of ourself this dualistic mind that we have, that is, one side is saying yes, one side is saying no, one side is condemning, one side is judging, another is saying that this is bad, another is saying that this is good. We have this dualistic mind that's going constantly, and we're working at identifying how it operates by doing these exercises. The next exercise that we're going to do is going to help us further with the self-honesty. We are going to start to be able to look from outside of ourselves at how our mind operates. But for now, what I want you to work on is anything that you've uncovered or brought up. The next tool we want to bring in is our old friend, acceptance. Accept what is so with the way that you are behaving right now.